Hey Denise, I'm recording videos for everybody because I wanted to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to just sort of see how someone can interact with their material as they receive it. And I had glanced through everyone's stuff before, but I haven't actually seen yours because of the fact that I couldn't access it. So the thing about this is that I'm going to start with the cover letter. Let's go to that first. And this is quite nice. I quite like it. The um, a couple of things struck out at me. So McCordsville should probably have like the capital C in there, MC capital C. This looks like obviously a generic cover letter. I get that you probably weren't applying it to any specific thing, but what's interesting to me is that you do have this little block in here that you can quickly pull certain keywords out of a job description and plop it into this. And so that's pretty smart. I think that's a pretty good idea. I would say that when we start talking about the opening paragraphs of these things, I wish that sometimes that they were a little more you-centric. What I mean by that is that this reason why I call this the marketing yourself thing is that marketing 101 is that you never talk about me. You always talk about you, as in the customer or their benefit. And in this case, the customer is sort of the employer, or if you imagine me as a generic employer, it's like I care about you as a human being, but at the same time, this is really an economic transaction. What I really want to know is, will you help me make money? Because if you cost money, because you are, and it costs more to hire you than what you will bring to the company in value, then this is just an economic reality that just is not sustainable. And the way that I've explained this to a couple of other people is that if you imagine that I'm trying to sell you a car and I say, oh, Denise, I have a car. It's red, my favorite color. This was the first car that I ever went on a road trip with. I love this car. That would not be a great way to sell you that car. What would be a better way is if I said, Denise, I have a car for you that you're going to love. That's super reliable. It has brand new tires. It has a new battery, and the transmission is in great shape. You're going to be able to go outside on the coldest day in winter, and this thing is going to be rock solid. You're going to turn that key, and it's going to turn on every time. You're not going to have any reliability problems with this car for at least 10 years. That would be a much better way of selling that car because it's talking to some of the fears and concerns that you probably likely have in relation to buying a used car. And it's all sort of you focused. Like you're going to be able to go outside. You're going to be able to go do this thing. You're going to enjoy the reliability of this car for 10 years. As opposed to, well, I loved this car. It's like, well, I don't really care, right? If you're the person who's thinking about buying such a thing. And so the same way with your labor in this. So my suggestion here is that if you could figure out a way to even, I get that it's a sort of a generic position here, but if you could figure out a way to make that more of a you-centric thing, as if you're talking to sort of me, a generic employer, not necessarily as your instructor, that could be really interesting. The resume side of this, I noticed that these things down here don't seem to align quite as neatly as they do down through here, which is, I get, a hard problem to have because you end up putting a bunch of spaces and stuff in here or tabs. Looking through this, I like that you've put the Bachelor of Science in there. A lot of students have been putting like just media arts and science as if I should know what that is. I know what that is, but as I've learned in the last 20 or 25 years, whenever someone says, what did you major in? And I say media arts, they tend to just come back and say, what's that? And then I say, I work with computers. This is interesting, a research intern. That's very interesting. Okay. I'm going to look at your portfolio and your LinkedIn. So if I was doing this myself for real, I'd probably look at your cover letter. I'd skim through it. I'd probably be like, it says a bunch of stuff that I already suspect. And then I would probably glance at this super fast. I probably wouldn't even read it that closely. I might look at what your prior work experience was. And then I would go straight to your portfolio. I'm going to look at your LinkedIn first, though. Yep, see, McCordsville has that capital C right there. This is nice. The thing that I notice is that you say that you are web design and development, video production, and sound design. I'm going to look at your portfolio. Hang on. Normally, whenever you see an effect like this, it's because there's multiple things scrolling through it. And this just keeps saying the same thing, which I guess is fine, but that's not normally how I've seen that. So let's see here. These things all link to this, that, and the other. Projects, there's 3. Okay. I'm a front-end developer, which I think sort of goes against, where did I see it? Was it your resume? I'm getting mixed signals about your interest in front end versus like the sound design aspect of some things. Maybe. I don't know how I've sort of developed that. This says you want to become a proficient front end developer. Okay. All right. I'm fine with that. I'm cool. Let's go back to this. So 3 projects. Sometimes when I look at other students' portfolios, I see a lot more in them. And frankly, whenever I see seniors in particular who come out with 3, and I don't know if that's because there's like a portfolio class that requires 3, and so that's just like the minimum here. When I see that, it makes me a little nervous because I think to myself, is like that it? Is that what we've done in 4 years, 3 or 4 years of a school? If you don't count the freshman year as being valuable for that much. And sometimes I suspect the reason for that is because people look back on the stuff they did in like their sophomore, junior year, and it wasn't very good. If that's the case, it would be cool if someone said, here's some stuff that I did early in my career, in my academic career, and it's not very good, and I've learned a lot, and here's what I've learned, and here's what I would do different. I would respect that. That'd be pretty cool. I'm going to look at a couple of these. Okay. Tours. Does that do anything? Yeah. Zealand, as in not New Zealand? I don't think Zealand is that a place? I've never heard of just Zealand. Yeah. I get a little bummed out sometimes when I see Lipsum text because it just feels like an opportunity to have communicated, and someone just said, no, I don't really care. I don't really want to. And so that kind of bums me out sometimes. I'm going to look at the pizza. So home to various recipes of your choice. Add your own recipe today and fill the world with joy. Okay. Burger, chow mein, chicken biryani. So I can't do anything with these? Doesn't seem like it. I'm browsing my recipes. Okay, so I can view this one. Okay. Horizontal scroll. It's very rare that I see rotated text like that. It's very, very rare that I see that. It's sunrise now, can you tell? Because the sun is shining right through my window. The home, that doesn't go to the home. I have to go to home over here. Okay. So this is probably where I would back out of this and back out of this as well. So what would I do? Here's the thing. I think that you are really set up for success here with your cover letter and being able to match these things to specific keywords and phrases in a job description, like I mentioned in the announcement from earlier this week. I wish that this opening paragraph was a little more you-centric because this is pretty meek as it currently is. Doesn't really add a whole lot of value to either you or me, really. I think these things down here are lovely. LinkedIn looks fine and dandy. I think that both on your resume and your cover letter, you should fix where you live so that way that's spelled correctly. Fix some of the alignment issues there. And then You know, there's this work that you've done both at Riley and Saggio, and I don't know that that's reflected anywhere in your portfolio, and it feels like it should, because quite frankly, when I look at the portfolio, I feel like the portfolio, when I'm looking at them anyway, is like if this is like the end all be all to me, and this feels like some student work, like this is projects that you've done in class, which is fine. But if you've got this other stuff that looks like it's probably way cooler and way more applicable to a lot of things in some cases, maybe not, because it says you've been drafting like research papers and stuff. So I don't know. You could make the decision there about whether or not that works for your goals or not. Uh, I just wish that there was some mention of that on that portfolio site because, like I said, very often I don't look at the resumes quite that closely because I usually know what I'm seeing is pretty much consistent across lots of different students, particularly when I'm hiring like an intern level position. So I've given you a 50 here on this, which is what I've been doing for lots of people. It's not to indicate that you're failing this or that you're not even half done with the project. It's just that we're not done with the conversation. We're half done with the conversation here. And so I just want to put that in there as a reminder for myself. This will go up, don't worry. But I would like to see some updates to some of this and have a little bit of a conversation here about some of those goals. Um, are there current positions that you've been looking for, that you've been trying to apply for? Because I noticed that it says that you're graduating in like May of 25, so you're like coming up. You're coming up on this in like a few weeks here, and so I'm curious to see like sort of what the plan or the strategy is on that. And that portfolio site in particular really needs to be on point. Um, with like I would like to see some volume in it truly, because if I saw that with compared to what I've seen from some of your classmates also who are seniors, they have a larger volume of stuff, and so it just makes it seem like there's just more breadth and depth to their skills and their work. I'm assuming that you have it, it's just not presented there. So tell me if I'm wrong about that or not, and then let's keep working on this.